You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 239th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim, the Super Rookie Hayes in Orlando, Florida.
I don't know. Hey, this is Matt in Minneapolis. Tim, I don't know if people are gonna understand that without the visual, but.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts, where I do not have an inhaler. Tim, I assume you've got a podcast TUE for that.
I do. I'm on albuterol now. It's taken me a little while to admit that I need the albuterol, but I'm just warning you guys now for when we host the upcoming Slow Ride Podcast Fixed Gear Classic that we are going to throw to replace the Red Hook Crit, which was recently canceled for the sole reason of enticing Jonathan Vaughters and the entire Education First team
No,
to come.
Where are we
because
throwing this?
They
crit?
are currently freaking out. I don't know yet.
Okay.
I was thinking St. Louis because we have so many fans there.
We do.
I haven't
Just maybe around the
burned
arch.
any bridges there, so it should be cool.
We need to come up with I'm getting anxiety attacks thinking about what Education First is going to do to replace the Red Hook Crit on their alternative calendar. Now, the thinking man in me naturally got into the promotion game, saying, "Why don't we promote the game, the race that they need to come to, and just forget the fact that the Mission Crit in San Francisco is clearly the one that they should go to because it's probably, arguably, the other most important fixed gear crit on the calendar." But I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't run with the rumor a couple months ago that the Red Hook Crit was in trouble. We knew it.
Yeah.
But, we tried our best to be decent people in the cycling community.
Yeah, we do sometimes.
Despite news to the contrary, we do sometimes we try and do the right thing.
Yeah, we try to do the right thing and not totally ruin everyone's fun.
So why?
There's so many other rumors.
Why is it being canceled for all the people who haven't heard the rumors that we didn't talk about previously?
So the Red Hook Crit, the world famous fixed gear no brake criterium held at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal in Brooklyn, New York City, was canceled due to rising costs. It's super expensive, it turns out, to shut down the cruise terminal to run the fixed gear crit. And from what the sounds of it, when we had Dan Chabana on and then other experts in this actual field, is that the New York City, Transportation Commission or whatever it's called, I'm sure someone's going to tweet us about what it's called, really like to charge a high amount of money for a bike race. And being a bike race, no one likes to pay a lot of money to use the facility. And so
still end up doing
the
it.
delta was pretty large.
Yeah. Maybe they can retool the fixed gear crit and wrap it into like Grand Fondo, New York or something like that.
That would be
That's
a good idea.
that's actually a good suggestion. Maybe like a crit on the George Washington Bridge. I do wonder
the
though,
upper deck and then down to the lower deck, and that could be the lap.
Now the Red Hook Crit has come out and saying that it is just a 1-year suspension of the race itself. Now I'm new to the game.
Are you?
But I come across a lot of events or restaurants that say they're just closing for them to move.
Just for
Temporary.
Then they never come back. So if you guys had to put odds on this, what are the odds that the Red Hook Crit actually comes back?
So
50%.
Here's the thing. Tim, I am with you 100%. When a race says they are taking a year off or a team says they're taking a hiatus, that is PR marketing speak for, yeah, we're done. We're absolutely done, and we had no plan B, and we still have no plan B, and we're going to lose all our impetus. But recently, last year, the Nature Valley Grand Prix, or the previous Nature Valley Grand Prix, now North Star Grand Prix in Minnesota, was canceled last year, last minute, and they announced that race is coming back this year. And
It's true.
that gives me hope for the future. So maybe Red Hook can pull it off.
Is that the only example, though, and we just, because I'm
Yes.
here and we've all been here, we know this race so well that we're really paying attention, because I can't think of very many other examples, unfortunately.
No,
to
it
back
does
up
not
your
happen
theory.
often.
What
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the likelihood that the Red Hook crit ends up not being in Red Hook? Like, they're tied to that name, and that name is the trouble. You know, I was just riding past a restaurant here in Minneapolis today that is just named for the corner it's on, and I was thinking how much the property owner has them over the barrel on that one whenever the rent comes back up, because it's like, where are you going to move? You only got 4 corners.
This is a good question. I mean, they could probably move it, I would quote unquote, fairly easily. I mean, there is like the Grant Park criterium in New York City there around Grant's Tomb.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably find a way to put the Red Hook crit there, but it wouldn't be the same. I mean, this is a good question, Logan.
So,
I actually...
Well, here's the thing,
that.
is like, I think the Red Hook crit brand is bigger than the Red Hook New York City
You're
neighborhood
right.
brand.
That's true. That's true. At this point.
You know, examples being Red Hook Milan, Red Hook Barcelona, and Red Hook London.
But that's your marquee event.
Last
needs
year it
to
was
be.
only Red Hook Milan, though. Right? Like, they kind of...
They've been tapering.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're just going to come out big next year, because this is like a full taper now. Are they still doing Milan this year?
Now, can I tell you guys something? I texted Dan Chabana the number that I had for him.
Okay.
That I got from Bill at Crosshairs Radio. I texted him about a month ago to say, like, hey, I haven't heard anything about the Red Hook crit. Is it on? I got a text back.
And it said, Dan, this is not Dan's number anymore. Please don't text me anymore.
It said, sorry, wrong number.
Nice.
So you're totally right. So
Dan's really good at that.
But I'm pretty sure. Then I texted Bill, and I was like, Bill, is this his number? Am I wrong? And he wrote back, no, that's the number I still got. So, yeah. I should have known at that
Classic.
point. But, so, Red Hook crit, it's a damaging blow to the alternative calendar, but maybe it was the UCI behind the cancellation of it the whole time. Watch out, Dirty Kanza and Lifetime Fitness. The UCI has got you on the radar next. They already took out the Red Hook crit, which was threatening their conglomerate, their kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, good stuff there. Kind of disappointed by that, because I felt the Red Hook crit was continuing to gain and actually overcome the tragedy that is the stalled motorcycle at the start of the race. That was the...
Sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that
about
video
that.
made it on SportsCenter.
I still think the Red Hook crit, or the idea of it, whatever fixed-go crit it is it's still a really good gateway entry to the sport.
Sure.
Like, and I know they're gonna, or I assume they're gonna still do the fixed gear events at the Intelligentsia Cup in Chicago.
Yep.
So that's those are still happening. Maybe Education First can double up there and win some American style crits and then some fixed gear style crits too.
Well, if there's a crit that someone should go to that clearly is as big, if not better, than the Red Hook crit, is the Mission crit in San Francisco. So that's the one that's kind of like now is the crown jewel of the fixed gear crit racing scene in the Mission district of San Francisco. So Spencer, you used to live there.
I did.
You could probably be our expert on the ground of what kind of roads are in the Mission. It's only been like 15, 20 years, but
it's been a little while. I'm sure they've kept them up perfectly, and they're great still.
So
taxes are high.
So we have a lot to get into this week in the world of bike racing, but I want to take you back a few weeks for when I was in Minnesota, and little guy, I got to see you at the pond hockey tournament. I'm wearing the U.S. Pond Hockey Championship T-shirt here today.
That's what you're wearing. I got it.
And I go into my favorite local watering hole, Dusty's. This is the place I asked
That
my
place,
much better half, Sarah, to marry me.
is that place still open?
It is. And Spencer, do you know the first time I ever went to Dusty's was when you helped co-throw an alley cat, and there was Stop was inside Dusty's, and it was, what song is, letter and number combo D9, and it was like Prince, Let's Go Crazy was like on the manifest for the alley cat.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Dusty's at that moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I go in there with my hockey team. Now, these are non-cycling aficionados. I had already dragged them to Trek, where we were guests of Trek, and gave them a tour of the Trek factory. I already told you guys about it. It was amazing, right? So they're kind of like, these guys are already diehard Trek fans at this point. They're like, oh, man, we want Trek to win all the races. And so I take them to Dusty's on the kind of last moment. I was like, all right, guys, I got to go there. I got to show you my wedding picture. It's on the wall. Walk in, jam-packed. In fact, I've never seen Dusty's this busy in my life. There's only one little corner of the bar open for me to go order. And I was like, hey, guys, just wait right here. A friend of mine follows me to help me shift the beers from the bar to the back. I don't say anything. And then I say, hey, barkeep, 6 premiums.
Only thing to order.
As I say that, a guy that's right there, sitting right there, goes, I know that voice. You're Tim from the Slow Ride podcast. And I'm like, meanwhile, I turn around, beat red, and my hockey playing buddy just turns around and doesn't even try to help me with the beers, just goes back to the friends, and the rest of the team is just like, you're not going to believe this. Tim paid someone to show up here at the bar and say that he recognized his voice from the podcast.
Yeah.
Turns out it was Paul, friends of Leo Black Label. And it was really cool. So I didn't tell that story, but I kind of was a little embarrassed.
It's fun being famous, huh?
Well, just, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Did I pay him to be there?
Maybe.
Probably.
Chances
I think so.
are pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually a pretty good time. So, little guy,
Yep.
You had a slew of agenda items. And if the Gummy Bear is not on the top, if Carlos Betancourt racing his debut race of 2019 is at the top
Let's talk about that then.
of your list, I will be a little disappointed.
Let's talk about the Gummy Bear. Yeah, it looked thick.
He did look a little thick.
All I could think was, hey, the Volta. It's still a possibility. The Volta.
Wasn't there rumors that he was going to change teams, though?
So right as I saw that picture, I realized, I hadn't thought about him since, what was around the tour that he was supposed to change teams? Where has he been? Did he do any races? We used to spend so much time talking and thinking about him, and he kind of stopped doing anything to give us any reason to talk about him. I don't know.
He really did. He just fell off the radar completely, and
he's still there though. He's on the
it's
team.
tough.
He came back in a big way.
Yeah, it's well.
Ouch. We're mean.
It's tough. I still want to talk about him, and I still want to follow the Gummy Bear's trajectory because I think he is due for great things. But if he's not doing any races, it's tough to talk about him.
Yeah.
But it begs the question: how does he continue to get a contract?
He's obviously got a lot.
I will let him do whatever he
talent.
wants. He's a strong rider. He's awesome. He won the white jersey at the tour.
Tour?
Keep doing you, Carlos. I love it. Every single thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have his pro cycling stats page pulled up. I'm sure, Tim, you have that as a bookmarked page. But the results are weighted a little bit toward the first half of the career. So
just slightly.
you can only use that to get, good contracts for so long before they start wondering why the last 3 years or so. You have a lot of jobs up here, but you seem to be missing a lot of work experience in the last 3 years. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I rode for a friend. He just forgot to send the resume over.
But he has been riding for people. I mean, it's not like that. I mean, to be fair, the Movistar team is so stacked.
It's very stacked.
When it comes to Grand Tour or more stage climbers, so or stage winners that, Carlos Betancourt, the Gummy Bear, the green one, if you will.
He is the green one.
Clearly now a team support.
Yeah.
So hang on. If the Gummy Bear did go to another team, would he be in a leadership role?
No, really. I mean,
Can I tell you what I think of Carlos Betancourt?
What do you think?
He's kind of like the more huggable version of TJ Van Garderen. Like he kind of just became what he should be.
Yeah.
Right? Like the ultimate team player. Like it's not a knock on TJ. Like Hincapie was the ultimate team player. And now Carlos Betancourt, he's the one that's there in the mountains, in the high mountains, and earning a pretty nice paycheck.
Let's say medium mountains.
And doing well.
I didn't see how he went in, was that Murcia or whatever the heck that race is? But Valverde did end up on the podium. Was like 400th podium. He's been top 10 in like 50% of the races he's done this year or something. It's nuts.
And he looked damn good in that World Championship.
He looks good. And he lost the sprint on that last stage and then the GC to Sammy Sanchez, which he's an Astana rider, and I generally don't want to like him because he was on Liberty Seguros. But I think in his old age, I'm really coming around to Sammy. Not Sammy, Luis Leon Sanchez, because he's always killing it in the early season, you know.
So do you like Luis Leon Sanchez more than Sammy?
Well, I meant to say when I said Sammy Sanchez earlier, I meant to say Luis Leon Sanchez because Sammy Sanchez is currently still facing his EPO doping ban, even though he's been effectively retired now for 2 years.
Okay.
So
you like LL?
Yeah, I used to not like him just because of the teams he was on, kind of. But man, he's always there early in the season. He's always trying to poach these kind of not that important races. I like the way he races.
He's a savvy veteran racer. He knows that he needs those ECI points to be valuable to that team.
And he is. He comes out swinging in the first 2 months of the year,
So, Spencer, I don't know if you can hear it in the little guy's voice. I'm picking it up. I'm picking up the feedback. He's trying to justify liking an Astana rider.
Oh, I know.
And I just want to say, Spencer, this may have to do with an upcoming episode of the Slow Ride Reviews because someone is wearing Astana colors on the regular now in downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's true.
And
I'm getting a lot of compliments.
I think he's trying to justify being an Astana fan. Are you picking up this Astana fandom, Spencer?
I'm hearing hints of it, not picking it up. I didn't have some context clues that you have, but I do know that Astana is absolutely crushing this kind of early season racing scene that's happened over the last couple weeks. And it's tough to blame little guy if he's feeling the bandwagon jump.
Is it true?
I'm only jumping on the Luis Leon Sanchez. I'm not jumping on the dude who probably cheated his way to a win at the Middle East race today.
Little guy, BS. You are jumping on the Astana bandwagon because of the helmet colors.
No. I've always liked the colors of Astana. I don't like very much about the team, but I've always dug the colors. I dug them when Volgren was on the team. I had to jump on the bandwagon a little bit last season, despite the Astana-ness. So. But I will say the colors are quite popular with the secretary and security guard crowd.
I did just flip back to see that you did take Astana as the 16th pick in our World Tour jersey draft with Mitch Docker.
Yeah,
so, good job there. You did save yourself a little bit.
Yep.
So little guy likes El Sanchez, and little guy, it's kind of a pretty big agenda for you because Spencer was out. Spencer was actually riding bikes this weekend, or this past week, out in Moab.
Yeah,
slaying the beasts of the slick rock trails. Any big stories, Spencer? Did your dropper post work?
Dropper worked beautifully, flawlessly.
Did you have? Was it wireless dropper post, like run through your phone app or some kind or something? All right.
No. We had we went to. I'll shout out a few things in Moab that people should check out if they haven't been there. Obviously, you should go. It's amazing. We rented some bikes. We didn't fly with them, so we went to Poison Spider Bicycle Shop, which was highly recommended. Very good. We rode some Trek Remedies with 27.5 wheels because both me and my better half were curious about the smaller medium wheel size, and so it was good to get some miles in on those, and the bikes were pretty awesome.
Cool.
How much travel?
What did those have? 150, I believe.
Okay. And the dropper post?
Oh yeah.
All right. Did you find yourself confused on the dropper post at all?
No.
The one time I had a dropper post, I was like, too many buttons up here on the front. I don't know what to push and when.
Yeah.
No, you don't have.
Haven't you? for a
You
while.
don't have any buttons on the whole left side anymore with the single ring in the front. So now
okay.
there's just the
So-
one button does the dropper.
So Spencer was in Moab, and then riding bikes. I was looking at a bunch of bikes because I was at Cabda up in Chicago. Saw the Rotor 1x13 group.
Yeah.
That was really cool. That was right by the booth.
Did you touch it?
I picked up the cassette. It was like a 1054 cassette, I believe, and it was only like 350 grams.
That's bonkers. Okay.
Saw some other things. I didn't really get to walk too much of the show, but it was cool to see a various, thing. I mean, to me, the Rotor group was kind of the only thing that I really wanted to check out, and that was mostly just for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the whole time I was trying to like just tell everybody like, hey, I know this guy. He's really into Rotor.
You told the
And then
Rotor
they're
guys.
like, oh,
I know somebody who
cool.
wants it.
like I heard about this guy. I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's the 2 chain rings, and they're the same block of aluminum. And you're like, oh my god, I know this guy. But that was pretty much it.
Okay.
So
Cool.
Now, little guy, this past week for you is pretty much just since the bike swap has been a disaster on your bike.
It's just been bike carnage, man. It's that time of winter where everything's been caked in salt long enough, I guess. I just don't know, man. I had a hub break. It just suddenly exploded into the spokes pulled through the flange. I had my Silca floor pump decided to stop working, so I had to buy new parts for that. I had a bottom bracket eat it on Monday. On Friday, I rode the mountain bike, and I borrowed better half Caitlin's clip-on fender, which I promptly broke while trying to adjust, and the plastic shattered in the cold weather.
All right, let's go. Let's go through. Was it one of those SKS?
It was one of those
clip-on
SKS
fenders?
giant clip-on things, and it was a little
got
too
3 of them
loose.
down here.
And I tried to adjust it, and the little adjusting bit it just exploded in my hand. I was like, oh, great.
Can I
Every day.
Can I tell you a story about those?
Yeah.
One of my favorite accessories on a bike. I was SKS fenders. I once bought one, and this was when I first started being a courier. I was so afraid someone was going to steal my SKS fender, which attaches.
Totally.
It's kind of weird. It's like a strap that goes around your seat post, and it kind of just clips in, and you easily can just grab it and go. I was so worried that someone was going to steal that thing that I had like the bike shop put a zip tie around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other time I've ever ridden with that fender, so it lasted like a year with a zip tie on it. It was on my Crosscheck that you guys may remember when I first started out as a courier.
Yep.
And then after that, I never put the zip tie back on, and never once has my fender ever been stolen.
Yeah.
So
Who's gonna do that?
I totally rookie mistake. Like, oh, someone's going to steal my fender. What am I going to do?
Well,
never happened.
I feel like that was when around that, when we all started currying, you bought a bike part, and it was whatever it was the most expensive bike part you'd ever purchase. You bought a $15 fender, and you'd never spent $15 on a fender before. Everything at that time was like, this was so much money. I can't believe I spent $15 on this thing. Whereas now it's like, yeah, I broke 12 of those in the last 10 years.
And the feeling that everyone else on the street also knew that fender was worth $15.
Yeah, right?
Well, it's how often. And then I was thinking, so I zip tied the fender, but then meanwhile I just free locked my entire bike leaning up against the IDS building on busy 8th Avenue. When you free lock, that's just when you put the U-lock between the front wheel and the frame. Mm-hmm. So anybody walking by with a truck or had a buddy in a truck could just put that bike in the bed and then just drive off or shoulder the bike. Yeah. It kind of priorities, but man, did I not want that fender stolen.
Well, your butt would get wet, right? It's almost worse than having to walk home. At least your butt wouldn't be wet.
And then you, yeah, that's very true. So you broke the fender, a cassette exploded on you.
No, a hub exploded.
Sorry.
A whole wheel. It was just every day I broke something. And the clincher, and this is repairable, but yesterday I didn't ride my bike. So I thought, hey, I'm in the clear. I can't break anything else, right? So I'm pushing the snow off the Mercedes. And what do? I clip the little Mercedes hood ornament with the brush, and it goes and it pops off. I was like, oh my god, every day I have to break something. Such a bummer.
And then when that happened, did you go, damn it, Tim is going to now know? Because
You were
have been
very
shocked
impressed
that
with my other car, yeah.
You've had a variety of Mercedes-Benz with intact hood ornaments. And I recall in like 7th grade, 8th grade, running around neighborhoods trying to jack hood ornaments.
I mean, I guess I just don't live where there's a lot of hoodlum kids, I guess.
I know. I was a horrible individual.
I mean, I'm sure I can put it back on, but just the fact that I busted it off. No, I did immediately think of you, and then I had to tell you. And it was, hopefully it was the capping of my week of breaking things, just stupid little things. It was, but I feel like every year post-swap, it's like all my bikes explode, like right after I don't have access to $10 wheel sets, you know? I don't know.
I'm running through a couple of bike. I'm in bike mode. I just got some new Paul brakes, mini moto brakes to put on the cross bike, and so I spent money there. And then I was like, oh, okay, like hopefully nothing happens with my bike. And now my bottom bracket's starting to click, and it's like, oh, like I just know that I'm kind of getting close to catastrophic bike fixing time, and it's like I got to start saving up some money.
Time for the big investment.
So, good stuff indeed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Spencer's just renting some bikes out in Moab and just having a ton of
Maybe
fun.
we should just rent bikes rather than owning bikes.
Oh, it's the way to go.
When do you think bike companies are going to start doing leases? I'm surprised they haven't.
Well, they'd have to be some kind of odometer, right? Like maybe the e-bikes, then you could tell how long the bike has been going.
I could see people doing that for e-bikes because, one, you're not getting as many people that are regular bikers. You're getting a lot of people that probably haven't biked for a lot of years, and their only major purchase has been a car. And so they would be coming in with the same mentality of like, I want to have this, but I want to upgrade so quickly that you could probably get them into leases. Tell them it's some sort of battery swapping thing, like they bring it in 3 years and you lease out the battery or something.
That could be true. I'm 100% all in on e-bikes. Like this thing is.
I'm 5%.
They have the e-bikes. They have the e-bikes here in Orlando. The like the bike share e-bikes are electric assist, and there's so many people riding them. It's crazy how many people are riding the e-bikes, and then they're like, I hardly even broke a sweat. I just have to pedal, and then I'm going 16 miles an hour, and you're like, that's actually pretty cool because it's people that normally wouldn't ride their bikes.
Yeah.
Now I want to see how sweaty they get in June, July, and August when it's hot as Hades out there.
Do people go outside?
It's pretty cool
in Orlando in June, July, and August.
I don't know, man. There's some people riding these e-assist bikes. I'm all about e-assist bikes. It's getting people back on bikes. Like it's pretty awesome.
I guess. It just feels like such a cheat to me. I can't. I intellectually know what you're saying, Tim, but in my heart, in my gut, just like W, I can feel it in my gut, and I got to trust my gut, and I hate him.
Let me ask you something, Logan.
Yeah.
Have you ridden an e-bike?
No, I've never ridden an e-bike. How would that ever even happen?
Okay. Spencer, have you ridden an e-bike?
Yeah.
Okay. Spencer, did you have a smile within the first 10 seconds of riding that e-bike?
Probably, yeah.
That's because you guys are a bunch of cheaters, and it's cheating. Of course you'd enjoy yourself.
Sure. As soon as I pedaled and I was going really, really fast, I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait to get one. Then I saw the price tag and I go, man, if only there was a lease.
Yeah, gosh, can I get into a 16-month lease on this bad boy? I could have saved performance bikes with this business model, I think. But, did they call me? No, they didn't call me.
That's our solution for performance bikes. I love it.
Electric bike leases.
All right. And with that, let's get into the pre-lap.
I'm Dan Chavanoff, and I ride for the Richard Sachs Cyclocross team, and I hate listening to the Slow Ride podcast every week.
Oh, guys, it is a good day. We are happy that the Slow Ride podcast is brought to you by a couple of important partners for the Wide Angle Podium Network. First off, we'd like to welcome back longtime sponsor Health IQ.
Hi, guys.
Go to healthiq.com/WAP to find out more on how to save money on your life insurance.
Yes. You may remember them. Longtime listeners will remember them. They were a great sponsor of the show in the past, and they are back for round 2. So if you don't have life insurance and you've been thinking about it, it is an easy place to go and save some money because they take into account your cycling habit as a fitness benefit that you can earn discounts with.
And it went so well the first time around. They came back. This is so exciting. Now, we did change the tag, so head over to healthiq.com/WAP. Sign up for the little quizzes, take the little quiz, find out how you can save money on your life insurance because you're a healthy individual. If you're listening to the podcast, you're the perfect candidate for Health IQ's services.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Go ahead, Spencer.
Well, I mean, after you've saved all that money, I got a pretty good idea of what you can apply that to in your life that might be missing. Well, see, I'm thinking, life insurance, it's not that exciting. It's not thrilling. You might need a pick-me-up after that. So I'm thinking if you head over to wideanglepodium.com/coffee and pick yourself up some Grimpeur Brothers Wide Angle Podium benefiting coffee beans. Now, I'm talking about full Schleck. I'm talking about Cyclocross Friends. I'm talking about getting your light roast on. I'm talking about getting your espresso bean on. I'm talking the full thing. I'm talking about hooking up your friends, your family, your kids.
You are saving a lot of money on Health IQ, aren't you? So you're buying for yourself and your friends.
It's an unbelievable amount. Yeah,
maybe
little
early
guy.
Secretary Day gift. Courier Day's coming up, I think. 2 people.
Little guy, how much coffee is little Tom Boonin taking down before his training rides?
It's 3 or 4 those little espresso cups. He just does them real quick. And then he says a bunch of stuff in Italian. I don't know what he says. And he just charges out the door and starts doing hill repeats. It's crazy.
Love
Perfect.
it. Love it.
Yep. So wideanglepodium.com/coffee to find out more about that.
Perfect.
Oh, man. That was a great stop on Segway Avenue. And I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Bike Shop CX. I got a question for the boys over there.
Okay.
Here.
Is it related to your squeaky bottom bracket?
No, but I did the Doc Hollywood, kind of dusty, kind of rainy, and now my campy shifter, the little thumb button isn't popping back up. I have to, it's not springing back into place.
I see.
Now my co-host of the Slow Ride podcast years ago told me I needed a campy for my moots.
Yep.
And I believed them.
Yep.
And I'm starting to think that
it's foolish
that they sold me a bag of beans.
Just take it apart and lube it.
Yeah, taking it apart. So how do I do it? So you guys
I can't explain it to you in the amount of time.
Or if you
we
could
have
just
left.
tell me that I should go take it to my mechanic and then he can do it, that would also be appreciated.
Man, all the bike shop mechanics are going to be real excited about taking apart your campy. It's going to be awesome. I think you should do that.
I've never done the post 2012 kind, but it's not that hard.
So,
and I think it's a good marker of a good shop. If you take it to the shop and they make a face and they're like, "We can't do it," I think you got to find a different mechanic.
All right. Well, I'd like to hear what the boys over at Bike Shop CX have to say. And I'll take that into account because you two are the ones that sold me down the river on this amazing componentry.
You should be happy. If it was Shimano,
granted, I have almost 11,000 miles on with no problem.
If it was Shimano, you just have to throw it away if it started moving slowly. So it's way better.
Great stuff from our Wide Angle Podium sister and brother shows, including Consummate Athlete, The Gravel Lot, Cyclocross Radio, and Bike Shop CX.
Tim, is there going to be an episode of Slow Ride Reviews anytime soon?
There
That's
is,
the plan.
because so I actually have a couple things ready to go. I'm excited, so we're going to have to coordinate that now that we're both back from our travels. I think it's something that we can get up and running. So
Perfect.
with that, let's get back to the show.
What up? This is Storm Skoyinch, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
Quick shout out to Laura Siros, who emailed us a couple weeks ago on her way out with the family to Cyclocross World Championships. Now, there was a lot of questions when they were on their way to Denmark on what they should do, and it was kind of between when we were recording.
So this is a timely answer, is what you're driving at. Yeah.
Well,
Nailed it.
well, we kind of missed the timely answer of what they should do when they're there. Like, right? Like we didn't get to the question. But I was curious. So I emailed back. I said, how was the trip? How was going with the family to Denmark for the World Cyclocross Championships, especially such a mediocre, horrible course that it was, in which the results were predetermined, especially on the men's side.
It was a good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
Sure.
sorry. And Laura hit us back with a great little email, and she had a couple bullet points from her event with her. They're out of Seattle, her husband, and then her kids. I've never been around so many Belgians in her entire life, which I can totally understand,
Yeah,
even
fair.
though they're in Denmark. You know, they're there for, you know, the next big thing, Matthew van der Poel. It was nice to watch a cycling event in a place where it's the Super Bowl and not some niche sport that people don't understand.
Yeah.
I can completely pick up what she's saying there, because how many times have we done a cyclocross race and then you're explaining to the person with their dog at the dog park or the tree protector in Austin that's like, these are my trees, and you know, you got to explain what's going on.
Yep.
My kindergarten daughter started bawling as we were leaving after the women's race, and when I asked her why, she said she thought Katie Compton was going to win.
We all did.
How do you explain that? As much as we all wanted that to happen, it was a long shot. And I was like, oh man, I can already imagine having to explain to little Heimar what's going to happen when
When Tom Boonen outsprints him pretty much every race.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that, or you know, they're going to work together. I'm not concerned about
Yeah.
that, but more of like
Interesting.
what's going to happen when, like, you know, a hockey team doesn't win the Stanley Cup or something, right?
Tim, I mean, the easy thing there with your example is to say, Little Heimar, every single year, 30 other teams don't win the Stanley Cup. It's not a
that's
big
good
deal.
point. That's a good point. We spotted Sane Kant watching the elite men's race and got to talk to her for a minute or so. She was just hanging out with her teammates and is so tiny. Not Kate Keough tiny, though she's just not a very big lady.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that kind of personalizes like the racing, that you can, like, cyclocross versus the roadside, that you see the world champion just hanging out after
Yeah.
the race.
Yeah.
What, right? Like, just kind of, and we experienced that at the foam party when they all showed up.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
Some of them are
in
really
Louisville,
tiny.
2013. And goddamn, those elite dudes are fast. I mean, we all know that, but holy moly! And that was witnessed on that course that they made it seem like it was a practice lap, 5.5 minute laps.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was great to see that there's people from America going over to the World Championships, even in Denmark. And I hope someday that I get to take the family to a Cross World Championships. Maybe it will be Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Most likely.
Most likely.
Most likely, that is going to be the World Championships we go to.
Yes.
That's very exciting. So,
Cool.
a couple of other things on Twitter. We got hit up several times by folks wanting to point out to us that the Tour de la Provence, that the leader's jersey was basically the La Vie Claire jersey of many years ago from the Greg LeMond. Did you guys see
I
this?
did. It was nice. It was really nice.
And then Izagir won the overall, but it's a pretty cool leader's jersey.
It was really
the La
cool.
Vie Claire kit.
It was a
Yeah.
nice touch to not just be
Yeah.
a color, basically. Just one color that everybody else does.
It did look a little bit like one of those when they used to do the combination jersey kind of things, though, right? Like that was the thing I was thinking of.
Like the fish jersey. The greatest jersey of all time. The Volta fish jersey.
Well, I know that you're all about that, but you know what I'm talking
I love that jersey. You know, I thought it was great. I loved it. Segway Sam time. Matthew van der Poel, MVP, teammate corner. We're back, baby.
Pretty excited
Week
about
two,
this.
week two.
MVDP MVP Corner. So this is the segment that we've put together to help our Pro Tour listeners. Hopefully, just Mitch or Tucker,
Yeah.
and then he's going to funnel it out. So they're going to go to him when they see a teammate of Matthew van der Poel going up the road. Last week we covered a teammate. Who do we have this week, little guy?
So this week, and this is why Tour de la Provence comes in perfectly, we are doing Jimmy Jansen's. Jimmy Jansen's is Belgian. He's 29 years old, and he just finished 9th in GC at the Tour de la Provence. Also, so he's done 2 races this year. He did Tour de Provence, finished 9th in GC, and he did the Étoile des Bessages, nailed it. Boom, 3rd in GC.
Wow. All right.
3
That seems-
4-stage races, solid results. He was there every day in the main group, finishing at the front. And the point, though, is that he's not winning any sprints. He's done 2 time trials. He's finished 4th and 13th in his, or 3rd and 14th in his 2 time trials. So he's got
This is,
some power over a nice TT course. I think that's going to come in handy at the end of a race for Mr. Vanderpool. So it's going to. I think he's got some teammates, guys. So far, now I know
Yeah, this guy's been around for a little
He's
while.
been around for a while.
I was saying, how did he manage to fit in all this training around producing tracks for Prince back in the day?
Yeah, he's a multifaceted kind of dude. He's not just one dimensional. He's not just about the bike.
Can I tell you what my worry is, the little guy?
What's your worry?
I'm on his pro cycling
Yeah,
stats.
it's nice. He's got some solid results.
There's still not a win.
We don't, Tim. We don't want
like
winners.
key
We don't want
statistics,
egos.
0 wins.
We don't want egos. We want a strong TT bull to sit in front of Vanderpool and get him off the front, my friend.
Yeah, we're not trying to build a movie star here.
I'm into the fact that he's been getting solid results but not winning.
So this is where we are on week 2. This is where we are on week 2 of the MVDP corner.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Stein de Volder, we've already admit, that's just off the rankings. We all know that he's the godfather of the team. He's the road captain. He's going to be the one that's steering the ship for Matthew Vanderpool.
Yeah.
And then we went to, was it Roy Jans last week?
Some solid results.
And then we go to Jimmy Jansen.
Yeah.
Now I'm noticing a trend here.
Yep. What's the trend?
And is descending quickly. the trend.
They're not descending. That's solid results. The man's done 2 races. He's finished top 10 in GC 2 times. I think this is what we want, Tim. We want building up. What I'm interested in is which of the cyclocross riders from his team are going to show up to the will his brother be there? Will our buddy Kangaroo Tom be there? That's the total. Who knows?
If David Vanderpool does not line up in every race that Matthew Vanderpool is in, and Jurij Sagan lines up for Peter Sagan, I'm going to be so disappointed.
No, we all are, but we'll find out. We'll find out. I'm hopeful. I think it looks
right.
good. So David Vanderpool and Tom Houston, I assume, at least Tom, I saw Tom at the Brico Cross today, so he's still racing cross with Matthew. So.
Well, that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is this Brico Cross. Apparently, they're still racing cyclocross right now, even though
they are.
We are done with the training camps in Australia, and now training camp has moved to the Mid-East.
Mm-hmm.
Brico Cyclocross just happened, and
Super Prestigious Saturday. The series are done though; they're both done now. That's it for those 2. So
you wanted now, which one of these races is the one that's on GC time?
They
Super
both
Prestige?
are, I think, but Super Prestigious for sure. Vanderpool won.
Now
both.
I know it's tough to find the results and all of that, so we'll just assume Vanderpool won.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But what's the why would I care about this Brico Cross race? You
All
seemed
right.
so excited about it when you were texting me
I'm sure
earlier
neither of you watched this, but it's a super fun course. It goes around like a little lake, and it's up and down, and there's a bunch of off camber, and they go over a bridge, and there's what looks like a castle at one point. But the coolest thing on this course is that they ride through a windmill. We've all done a race where we ride through a barn, but they ride right through the bottom of a windmill.
So this is similar to a mini golf course.
Yeah.
Well, only they're the size of a golf ball in this scenario because it's a normal Dutch windmill. You think of you're watching Amstel Gold and you see the windmills.
That's
in
pretty
the shot.
cool. So you gotta time your lap just right.
You got to time your lap. Are they going through the front?
Unfortunately,
or are they going through the side?
They go through the front, but unfortunately, I don't think the blades go close enough to the ground where the riders had to time it right. I think they turned above.
That is lame.
But it was
Because that could be amazing.
cool.
Think about it. You're in a group of 6, and you're like, okay, I got to be at the front of this group now. So there's a big sprint into that thing.
And then you hit the
because
brakes.
everybody knows guy number 4 in line is getting taken out by the thing.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah.
So-
Lars
so
van der
again,
Her would have died today.
So the windmill blades don't come far enough to the ground
no,
like they do on
didn't.
a mini golf.
No. This is a,
right, then-
a windmill as you can imagine it from you're watching Dutch races. But It's super cool nonetheless. It was a fun course. It was super fast, and it just looked fun. And I didn't even notice the windmill until like lap 3, and I was blown away at that point. So.
Yeah, if you didn't
well done.
you didn't
Blown
notice.
away.
Yeah, you didn't notice it if guys were getting taken out. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
look,
true. There's blood
you kinda-
spraying around the car.
you really had me going there for a second.
Yeah.
You know?
It's cool. Check
and
it
then
out.
all of a sudden you just really took the wind out from my sails when you told me that the blades weren't even close to taking out the rider.
Yeah, I gotta say he had me pretty wound up as well.
Yeah. I don't, I gotta say the UCI might not be into that. One of the cool things about this race, too, is that Pidcock got off the front with Vanderpool and followed the move. And for a couple laps even, you thought, hey, maybe he's going to be able to follow. And he eventually got dropped, but he podiumed, and that was nice to see coming up.
So
is Vanderpool off the front and then a couple guys milling around behind him?
Vanderpool got off the front. Yeah, at some point, good work at some point, and Pidcock followed, and Lars got on the podium.
So, Tim, with Vanderpool off the front and winning all weekend, I assume that really grinds your gears.
it does for a couple of reasons. Well, I'm okay.
Should we separate the wheat from the chaff
Whatever.
in this?
At this point, I'm all in on Vanderpool because I know that he's never going to race cyclocross again. So I'm hopeful that he just
totally
kinda goes
going to
away.
race more cross.
No. Like he can race like every now and then and show up like Star Bar, and you're like, man, it's really cool. He's back on the reunion, the farewell tour, like Cher. But the problem is, I love Vanderpool because now he's going to go to the road.
Right.
But
right.
what kind of grinds my gears is that Pidcock is doing so well, so that every English media
Oh, sure.
cycling publication now is going to care about cyclocross because now suddenly they're like, "Ooh, we have an English speaker that's doing really good in
sure.
cyclocross, so now we should pay attention."
That's a bonus. But really, I think if anybody could hang with Vanderpool, all media everywhere would be excited about it because, it's been a long season of Vanderpool. He's been in the bakery. He's been kneading the dough. He's been putting it in the oven. He's been baking the bread, and now he's eating it all on his own with no help from anyone else. And people just want to share that. And it's only right that Vanderpool's like, no, you didn't help me, bake this bread. You didn't help me.
Wow.
Yep.
I guess that back to my point on Pidcock though, is that it's just going to be so disappointing.
If you don't have a windmill joke, this is going to be so disappointing.
I know, but
Why? Just because you were into cyclocross before they had that big hit single?
no,
And now
I'm
you're-
just waiting
now you're-
for like the human interest stories on all of like cycling news and all of the big like cycling magazines out there just be like, oh wow, what is cyclocross? And then they got to like give the whole like, this is what cyclocross is, and you're just like, come on, man. Like we're already at this point. Like I don't need to have the stories just because the guy speaks English, so therefore people care about it. Like I'm kind of worried about that, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you just...
They go so overboard because they're like, oh, David Miller, the next hope for the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, how's this even work? George Hincapie, he can climb mountains. He's going to be the team leader. And it's like, oh, man, now it's going to be this guy because he races cyclocross and it's going to be great. I'm a little worried. just throwing that out there.
Well, don't worry. The season for cyclocross is basically over, so you don't have to be that worried.
Yeah. I'm just going to go knead some dough. Spencer, you already had taken all of these.
I need this to move on to another topic.
Yeah.
Another topic. Interesting.
Yeah, we'll just roll on over to Kevin Powell's retiring.
Yeah, K-pop.
Hanging up the old shoes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of disappointed because Kevin Powell's is one of my favorite cyclocross racers for a variety.
And
of
he
reasons.
had a really good season.
He did,
Yeah,
and he's
better than last year, yes.
He never won the World Championships,
No.
Well, he was, and he was not
So-
going to, so it's good to
but he
time
was so close, kind of in Louisville. Like we
Yeah.
really wanted it to
It
happen.
could have happened in Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
He had the drive side dismount, which I love.
Yep.
I have read, I have not confirmed, but as a former school teacher that specialized in that taught special ed with a specification of autism and like ASD. I have read in a couple of places that Kevin Powell's has Asperger's or autism similar. And now I don't know that firsthand at all, but I had read this a couple times in a magazine that always struck me as like really into the guy. Like that just was really awesome. So again, I don't know if that's 100% true because I'm relying on translation and media, but that always made him one of my favorites.
Yeah. I can't think of any other pros that, yeah.
But I mean, God,
He was
Kevin
always there.
Powell's. Like,
He
it
had
was
some
so
great
good.
years.
And he did. And his name was always so awesome when it was said on the Belgian dark webs. Like, now I'm kind of off the dark webs when I watch cyclocross racing because I can find a pretty good feed legally for the most part between Trek putting racing on their website and NBC Sports Gold. So you kind of get the English version of Kevin Powell's, but man,
Yeah, we're never going to get
when
to
you
hear
that.
Gavin.
Yeah, that's so great.
That was
Clearly
one
one
of
of
the
my
better
favorites,
parts of the
so-
races. Yeah,
Oh.
that's true. And he had that rap video. We did not mention that when we talked about the Astana video. He had that video where he's riding a lowrider and stuff and laying down the sick rhymes.
So I will certainly miss him, and he did have a good season, as you pointed out, Spencer. So good stuff for sure.
Yeah, changing the
And
card.
then the other news is John Degenkolb has gone the way of all of our favorite bike gadget companies by creating a quick Kickstarter to save the U19 Paris-Roubaix race.
But they did. They saved it.
I don't know if you're going to get some kind of solar-powered light or some kind of, lockable seat post collar or something that gets created on Kickstarter for bikes, but kind of weird.
They saved it. And you get a T-shirt, I think, too.
I know, but why should it be the racers saving the race? Kind of.
I agree. I don't know the like super deep, intricate
trying to-
backstory of why it was in financial trouble. But I mean, it was nice to see.
Trying to tell me the promoters of Paris-Roubaix don't make enough money
Is
to,
it the same?
put on a U19
Is it
race?
the same?
No, they
Because
don't-
it's Amory that owns Roubaix, right?
They certainly don't make enough to put on the women's version, so I don't know why they would be able to put on a juniors version.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Spencer. Very, very good point.
Spencer, I thought the fact was the women didn't want to do it. That's what I'd heard. That's what some dudes in a Belgian bar told me.
Wow.
I was down
Reliable
at
source.
Keith's
That's what they
dad's
mansplained to
bar. Yeah, his dad's bar, and
Yeah.
he told me that. So I'm going with that, man.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not good, but it was nice to see Degenkolb doing that. I mean, it was a nice gesture. I agree. I don't know the backstory of why it didn't have money. But it seems like, in general, U23 racing and below is not exactly the most financially lucrative thing. But you need those races if you're ever going to have pros,
outside of the U19 Paris-Roubaix race, the only other thing that had captured my imagination for bike riding or racing this past week was the Tour of Colombia.
Yeah.
Won by Miguel Angel Lopez, as mentioned earlier. But Nairo did win a stage.
Yeah.
Is the pressure off Nairo enough? Do you guys think that this could be the year he wins the Tour?
Pressure off? You think the pressure's off?
I think at this point in the game that enough people are just like, hey, that ship sailed. In fact, when I was at Cabda, people coming by the booth talking a little bit. They wanted to talk a little bit about Nairo. And a lot of them were like, I think the ship's kind of sailed on that. Like everyone was just like, you know what? He's a great racer.
Yeah.
It's awesome. He's got a solid top 5 in him at the Tour, but it's done. Like, it's not going to happen.
Do you think the pressure's a little bit off because there's so many other good Colombians right now? Like when it was just him and Betancourt and Iran a little bit, but he was definitely top dog. But now it's like, I mean, all the top guys at that race were all in the World Tour basically and killing it.
Well, and segue Sam to the savior of the apparent savior of Team Sky.
Yeah.
Is going to be the the Eco Petrol, the oil company out of Colombia. I mean,
yeah, it seems like it.
So there's clearly the golden generation of Colombian cycling is happening right now. Even though we would like to think that it was from Santiago Botero and his glorious run as a team captain on Rock Racing.
Well, I'd like to think you're right that maybe the pressure's a little bit off, and it's a little bit doesn't have the whole nation on his shoulders in a sense, and he can do it. I mean,
so if we were running a now not the Mount Rushmore, we've already talked about Mount Rushmore of teams. If we were running a cycling Hall of Fame, and the three of us, like, you know, and it's kind of like baseball Hall of Fame where you had to like vote. And then you have to be retired for 5 years before you get voted into the Cycling Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Maybe we should create a virtual Cycling Hall of Fame. The more I think about this, would you guys vote for Nairo Quintana to be in the Cycling Hall of Fame?
I mean,
No.
He's got to retire for 5 years, Tim. I can't even think about this.
I know, but like, think about his like overall his career. Is he Hall of Fame worthy cyclist? And Spencer
Spencer
say no.
just says no. No, I need some like info. I need like how many riders get in a year and how many years are they up, so I know. Because in the same way you make the equation with the other halls, you know, like you want to put Bert Blyleven in, but you know you've got a lot of considerations, so you got to kick him down every year.
He's not going in the first couple years, that's for sure, of his eligibility.
So, Spencer, now Spencer, you're.
What if Valverde comes up the same time?
For the most part,
right?
But like multiple, like Valverde's first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt.
Yeah.
And even though someone's gonna like treat him like Roger Clemens because he has a doping check mark, like what he has done is beyond like that. Like, sorry, it's fine.
Yeah, it's extraterrestrial.
I would say, well done. I'd say Nairo is in the Cycling Hall of Fame. Maybe not. I think he'd be first ballot still, and here's why.
Okay.
He's won the Giro twice. He's won the Vuelta twice.
Yeah.
He's won Tour Romandy twice. He's won 3 stages of the Tour and 2 stages of Tour de France. The only thing he has going against him as a GC rider is winning the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And he's been on the podium at the Tour de France.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I give it to you.
I think that may be worthy of a Hall of Fame riding career for Nairo Quintana, even though he didn't win the overall.
So he did all those things, but what was he trying to do?
That feels like that's a hard. That's like
a guy who didn't win the World Series getting in the Hall of Fame, right? Like,
but that's not his fault.
Okay, it's not going to keep him out necessarily, but it's not going to put him in instantly.
I feel like that's even
more
of a crazy thing.
Spencer,
I see what you're saying.
Let me just say this. I understand where you're coming from, Spencer. Let me ask this. Do you think he's worthy on the second year of eligibility to be in the Hall of Fame?
Potentially.
With that record?
Potentially.
Okay.
I think you've made a good...
Spencer, you have a really tough vote here.
Okay, hang on.
Wow.
Eddie Merckx is going in first round. Like, we're talking about Hall of Fame. Like, there are a lot of folks, guys and girls, that are going to go in before Nairo Quintana. A lot. And it might not be the second year.
But they have to be relative to the year that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like Lenny Dykstra isn't a unanimous Hall of Famer the first year, but maybe around year 13, you're like, maybe. And then he still doesn't get in because you're like, that guy doesn't seem like a nice person. I would say maybe Nairo doesn't get in the first year. I would agree with you there when you bring up the Eddie Merckx. You convinced me on that. He's clearly a second ballot Hall of Famer.
I think all the Tour winners are going to get in before Nairo does.
No.
See, that's too much.
I would
for me,
put
that's
Nairo
too much
in
weight
over
on the
Carlos Sastre.
I think Miguel Indurain's going in before him. I think, pick a Tour winner.
Indurain's obviously going in first.
Carlos Sastre is so far behind Nairo Quintana on the Hall of Fame voting. Like, yeah, it's cool he won, but he's not better rider than Nairo Quintana was.
No, but I think Nairo for sure. I'd say anyone that wins any of the 3 Grand Tours and then shows consistency would get a high priority.
Spencer, you know what this is? Spencer, you know what this is? This is the JJ. This is the Cobo defense that little guy's running. He's trying to wedge in
Cobo. I wasn't even thinking about that.
To get in.
No, Cobo doesn't show any consistency. Come on, that's the thing that breaks my heart is he had these flashes, but like Nairo is there.
Cobo's gonna get in on little guy's veterans committee like 20 years later.
Yeah, honorary. No, but I think I see what you're saying. Like, oftentimes I'm digging around in pro cycling stats and I see some guy who got like 3rd in the Giro in 1986 and I'm like, I don't have no idea who that is. And I click on it and I notice they've got a bunch of high results. Didn't really win much that I ever heard of. And it's like, I don't know who this person is, but obviously if I had been paying attention to cycling in that time, they would have been the Lutsenko or somebody like that. Like a guy you knew was strong, but you didn't chalk him up as that first quality.
We're getting close to the end of the program, but this may be something that becomes a Slow Ride podcast. I don't know how we're going to do this yet, guys. But
I think we
are going to determine Cycling Hall of Fame, and it is going to be amazing because we're going to need to vote this in because he's definitely a second ballot. He's in that second tier. And anybody that
here's what I say,
so
Tim.
wrong, Spencer.
You were saying this GoFundMe thing. Let's get a GoFundMe going. We hire some 15-year-old kid to build us a virtual reality Hall of Fame, so you can put on some VR goggles and walk into this room. I want this to be very much Lawnmower Man-esque graphics quality.
Yeah.
I want it to be super weird, and we just start from now. Like we just do from like everyone that retires this year, we vote in our top 10 or whatever, and we'll just go on from now, and we get this 15-year-old to build this for us. And we'll pay him in cookies or something, or Doritos and Mountain Dew Code Red. I'm
liking this idea, but mostly because I want to know what jersey these team riders are going to want to go in, right? Like, are they going to be like, ooh, well, like, is Merckx going to be like, oh, I want to go in on the Maltini jersey? Or is he going to be,
not going to
is
the
Fignon going to want to say posthumously that he wants in on the, the famous bib kit? Or is he going to want to go in on the La Vie Claire? Yeah. So.
It's the greatest kid of all time.
Anyways, do you guys have anything else before we sign off for the week?
I think that's it.
Nope.
I think we nailed it.
With that, we'd like to thank all of our listeners. We'd like to thank Health IQ for their returning support. Go to healthiq.com/WAP to find out on how you can save money on your life insurance for being a healthy individual. Also, head over to Grimpeur Bros. Get some Grimpeur Brothers coffee. You can shortcut there is the wideanglepodium.com/coffee. And go to Wide Angle Podium to find out more about our family of shows. Email us at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at theslowridepod. This is Tim in Orlando.
This is Matt in Minneapolis.
And this is Spencer in Boston, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.